I'm Sayyiduddin Muteed. I am a CISSP, so a little authorized to speak about security. And then I did my cybersecurity and data protection laws for 6 countries, UAE, Canada, Singapore, USA, UK, the GDPR, and in India. So these are the 6 countries that I did my cybersecurity and data protection laws in. So this is a very little about me. We have been in this industry for more than a decade now. So we are very much into security, all kind of security, whether it's IT, OT, and we are into ethical hacking, audits, security testing. So this is very short and very brief about me. So let's move ahead with our presentation without taking much of the time. Okay, now, so what's the agenda? How are you going to spend the rest of your time in this webinar? I hope it would flow smooth as a breeze. And what are we going to discuss in this? So the first thing that we will discuss is the anatomy of the outage. What happened? What exactly happened in this IT outage, which is actually known now that it is the outage of the millennium. No one ever saw such kind of outage, so huge in number. So we will discuss what actually happened, and then when did it happen, and who all were involved in it. I mean, who were the reason behind it, and where all did it affect? I mean, what were the repercussions? How was the ripple effect that went into, like, what all organizations got affected, what all domains and industries got affected, and how long it took them to remediate the issue, and how impacted was it when it went down to the customers, and why did it actually happen? We will discuss about that, and why were so many people impacted. It was just only one organization, Windows, in conjunction with CrowdStrike. So it was exactly a CrowdStrike. So with just one CrowdStrike, why were so many people affected? So let's deep dive into all these questions and get them answered. And what is my takeaway? Because at the end of the day, all this information that I'll be talking about, I mean, what happened, when it happened, and how it happened, everything is there on the internet. YouTube videos, LinkedIn is filled with it, Twitter, Instagram, possibly every other social media platform is talking about it. The news is talking about it. So what's the key takeaway for me for an IT domain? Let's say if I deal with the IT industry, or if I'm in the IT department, whether I head the IT department or I work in the IT department, what's the key takeaway for me? As an individual, what I need to take care. As an organization, what I need to take care. So a few key takeaways for us. And then we will talk about some essential strategies that we can put in place. We can say that as lesson learned or the best practices that can come into picture with this outage. So we will try to wind it up as soon as possible. And then the last thing is the quiz. So at the end of the quiz, it would be a very short one, only 5 questions. You answer that quiz and we will have exciting gifts for you. So which will reach to you as soon as possible as well, the moment we end the quiz. So this is the agenda for today. So let's move on. We have pretty short time. So moving on with, okay, the first thing, what happened? So what exactly happened? It was this, the blue screen of death. You can see this was actually what you see on the screen right now. This was everywhere. This outage was everywhere on the internet. So everyone were seeing blue screen of death on their screens. It was in airports, it was in manufacturing units, it was in healthcare industry, hospitals, clinics, everywhere. So this was the blue screen that was there everywhere on everyone's screen. So it actually caused a bit of panic. So this is what happened. And when did it happen? It happened on 19th of July in the morning. So this actually talks about like how it happened. 19th of July, it actually started. Everyone in the beginning were thinking that it's a big ransomware attack. It was an attack. There were many speculations. Everyone, WhatsApp, social media, everyone were talking like, okay, it's the biggest hack. So many people got affected. The governments got affected. Very essential services like 911 got affected. And then a few moments later, we hear that, okay, CrowdStrike came up and they announced that, okay, it was their patch, which in conjunction with Windows has caused all this failure. So, and then within a very short span of time, very quickly, CrowdStrike knew that, okay, it's going to be a big disaster. So they worked tirelessly. The CEO came up front, came to the public, apologized, announced what all happened, and then he came up with a patch. How many minutes? How many minutes? 80 minutes. 80 minutes is not a big time. It's less than a football game. With only with this 80 minutes, the disaster it is caused as a disaster of a millennium. You haven't heard about such kind of disaster where 8.5 million users got affected. 8.5 million users, in the sense 8.5 million machines got affected. So now, who were involved in it? It was Microsoft Windows. You might have heard about it. Okay, it's Microsoft Windows. It's very clear. Who is CrowdStrike? CrowdStrike, only a few IT people might know about it. And even then, there is a subset of people in the IT industry who know about it. CrowdStrike, though it's a cybersecurity firm, but many people do not know about it. So what's the word? Let me talk a little bit about CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is a firm that provides security to organizations. So it has a sensor, which actually it's a antivirus kind of software, which is a cloud-based platform where you have to install it on your PC. It stays on your PC, and it actually protects you from anything that goes out, anything that comes in, any internet traffic. It looks for it, any kind of abnormal behavior. It looks for it. Any kind of files that come in, it blocks those files. So this is the work of CrowdStrike. So it is a solution that actually helps you secure yourself from any kind of attacks. It's a cybersecurity company. So this is about CrowdStrike. So what happened is that the CrowdStrike sent an update. So usually this kind of update is sent to all the machines: Windows, Mac operating systems, Linux. So this kind of update goes to all the systems because there are people who use all kind of workstations. Linux did not get affected. Mac OS did not get affected. The only people who got affected were Windows. And then now, and this is not the first time. Earlier than this, CrowdStrike sent an update. So that was actually only targeted. It wasn't targeted, but Linux got affected. But as Linux is less in number, and it's a cheaper operating system, it's less in number, so if few people got affected, it did not come in the news. Possibly, if you try to now go and search for Google News or somewhere, whether ever Linux got affected, you'll find that news, which was a few weeks or months ago. But this time, it was huge. It was huge because Windows came into picture, and Windows is used. Windows, though it's not the cheapest solution, it's used by most of the people. So now let's. I think I'll keep the chat window open, and I would like to hear, like, just give me a vague number. If you know, it's good. Just give me a vague number, like 8.5 million systems got affected. So can you give me like how many percent of how many percent of these systems, of Windows systems that are there in the market, how many of them got affected? Just a vague number. Just type in your phone, in your PC. Just type in a number and send it across. I would like to see 10%. Okay. Samyuddin said 10%. I'm just waiting for other numbers. Just type a number and send it so that it's very quick. 80%. Okay. And a few numbers. Okay, 25%, 25%, 1%. Okay. Okay. 40%. 30%, yes. I mean, like all these numbers. I was shocked. Honestly, I was shocked to know it's just 1%. So there are 850 million Windows computers that are being used worldwide. So 8.5 million users got affected, 8.5 million systems got affected. So it's like just 1% of all the updates that are sent across. And we are only talking about Windows systems. Leave the Linux, leave the Mac OS. So we are looking at very huge numbers. So now we know how deep is Microsoft infiltrated into our environment. I'm not here to talk about Microsoft, but you can see the intensity, like how deep we have Microsoft in our system, in our organizations, in our infrastructure. So I wouldn't take much of the time here. And these numbers that you see on my screen, which talks about like 2 billion worldwide loss, no one knows. It's just a number with some calculations, which they came up with. It could be much more than that because the kind of systems that were involved. Okay, now this screen, like you might see this. I talked about it. Like this was there everywhere on every screen. Okay, airports got affected. You might heard that. You might have seen that everywhere on the Twitter. Like you have seen boarding passes that were written with hand, and written boarding passes, very long lines. And airports, a few airports saw those big white boards where the timing of the aircraft, the airlines were written like, okay, when is the boarding time? Can you imagine? Right? Big airports, high-fi airports. And all these airports with those white boards that have this announcement written on it because the screens were not working. How much have we relied on this technology? And this technology, in the span of 18 minutes, it could bring everything down. Airports, 5,000 flights were cancelled. 5,000 is a huge number. Is a huge number. And even if you count in terms of the percentage of flights, even that is really huge. 5,000 flights is a big number. And then airports saw very long queues because people had arrived at the airport. Airports were filled. People were seen in the kiosk. See, this was like you can see on the screen. This picture was there everywhere, and this is in the U.S. U.S. got affected the most. However, every country got affected, but the U.S. got affected the most because that's where Windows is very much spread in their infrastructure. And then no one talked about the train services that got affected. No one talked about the bus services that got affected. Every transportation industry got affected really hard. And then financial institutions, a very big hit. Transactions were blocked. ATMs were not working. Data retrieval, any kind of integrity issues that were open to public. People couldn't take out money. Stock trading got affected because you can see that any kind of transaction, monetary transaction depends a lot of time. And when these things go down, it really affects. So possibly that number of 2 billion would make a lot of sense when you see each and every segment and how much it got affected. And then retail markets, inventory management, everything depends on computers. Customer service, sales services, sales management, customer management, all these are dependent on the CRM systems that we do, on these Windows systems which are at the back end. However, all these were so much dependent, like the retail industry, malls were shut down because their point of sale systems were not working. Even if people could get in the supermarkets, they were not able to check out the goods that they have bought. So it was a big challenge. E-commerce platforms, many business e-commerce platforms got affected because they depended on the cloud services, and the Azure cloud services got affected because of this. It had a very much ripple effect. And then, like I said, business units, supermarkets got affected a lot. Healthcare industry, it got affected a lot as well. The biggest industry, the industry domain that got affected that were everywhere in the news was airports, travel industry got affected the most. And then the healthcare, because healthcare, you rely a lot on medical records. You rely on appointments. Appointments got, I mean, no one could see what the appointment was because this blue screen of death, it was a continuous loop. It was a continuous, it was getting into the boot mode, it was getting again into the boot mode. So it was a continuous loop process. You couldn't stop it. However, I wouldn't get into the resolution because the resolution is there everywhere. How you could stop it, you get into the safe mode, you delete that file, you bring it back up. It was a back up and running, but this is a tedious process which you have to individually do on every single system. Now, getting back to like how the healthcare got affected. There are many critical procedures now, operations and procedures that happen over the internet. There are surgeons that are across the country that get involved in critical procedures. So now it's not the case like usually earlier, the doctors used to travel from one country to another country if there is a critical procedure. Now they look at over the internet, they look at online to see like, okay, what's going on and how it's being operated. So now everything of these got affected. 911 services in America, that got affected. 999 services in London, that got affected. So it was altogether, it was a huge loss. So now getting on to, okay, what are the key takeaways? The first thing is the irony of this event is that it was a cybersecurity firm that was involved in it. The same cybersecurity firm which we rely on, thinking like, okay, now we have this cybersecurity firm, this solution in our organization, and that's it. We are good. The irony was the thing that was installed in the first place just to make sure nothing should get impacted was the reason behind such a big impact. So that's the irony of the event. That's the biggest thing that we need to consider, that we should avoid all sorts of single point of failure, because that was just a single point. One Falcon sensor, due to some coding error, which was not tested before it was launched, it actually caused such a big impact. So that's one, that's a single point of failure. And now let's discuss a little bit about this as well. Okay, what are the key takeaways and why has it caused? What was the reason? Why were so many people impacted? The reason so many people were impacted is because Microsoft services are accepted, and now like the number that I talked about, 850 million systems are there in and across the world that are owned by Microsoft. That operating system are run on our PCs. So Office 365, widely accepted by most of the people. Even I use Microsoft Office 365. Azure services, everywhere. Teams, everywhere. So with these kind of services, you can see like it's into our infrastructure. And if we say that, okay, let's stop these updates, that's not the solution at all. That's surely not the solution. So the acceptance of Microsoft services worldwide and so much into our infrastructure has caused this. Another one is dependency on cloud services. I have heard many organizations. I do not discourage, but let's have a hybrid environment. Let's focus more on hybrid environments where you have a mixture of cloud. Let's say now we have seen the flavor of like a single failure. What the kind of damage it can cause to your complete infrastructure, to your complete work cycle. So dependency solely on cloud service is surely not the solution. Now we have seen it. So let's have a hybrid environment. Let's focus on a hybrid environment. Like, okay, let's have very critical services. Let's keep it on cloud. That's the need of the business. Have a backup service on your on-prem infrastructure as well, so that your business is not down if anything goes out of order. let's say now we were talking only about the CrowdStrike patch. Let's say if anything else comes into picture, which is more, let's say Windows goes down for a few hours, the business will get impacted. Your business continuity will get impacted. So completely reliance on cloud services, we need to have a hybrid environment. Interconnected systems. Now we have seen that interconnectivity is a lot. That CrowdStrike patch came in, and it had a ripple effect, not just on the Windows computers, but other systems as well, because these Windows computers were connected with other systems, other Linux servers, which had dependency on these Windows systems. So it's not that the Linux systems were very clean, they were workable. No, even they were not workable because they had dependency on these Windows systems. All these infrastructure that we have, they're interconnected to each other. So just having, if someone would come up with a resolution that, okay, let's change all of the Windows computers, let's bring Linux because Linux is cheaper. That's not going to work. We cannot get away now with, get away from Microsoft Windows systems. It's part of our life now. You cannot get out of it. It's part of our technical life. So, and then one important thing that we need to consider are the security threats. Security threats are huge. Like with the moment this CrowdStrike outage happened, people started getting calls from scammers, from spammers, like, okay, we can help you. We have noticed that, okay, if you are having this issue, call back us on this number. We can help you out in this situation. So all these phishing emails, phishing attacks that were huge, so huge that CrowdStrike had to issue a bulletin saying that no one from our team, as of now, is trying to reach out to you, reach out to the customers, because people were posing themselves as like they're calling from CrowdStrike to fix the issue, and they were trying to do something just to make sure that, okay, they get inside the network. The security threat was huge during the time when this outage happened, because everyone was trying to take advantage of the situation. So that's one. And now, what were the key takeaways? We talked about the irony of the event, single point of failure. Never there should be a single point of failure. One small CrowdStrike EDR bringing the whole system down, bringing the whole infrastructure down. That should not be the case. We need to work towards it. We need to sit with consultants who can help us in this scenario, like, okay, how it should be that, okay, a single point of failure is not impacted. Mac and Linux were not impacted. Very clear, Mac and Linux were not impacted, but even though they were not impacted, they were still non-functional because of the dependency on Windows. Okay, now we have, it's very clear that, okay, let's not get into the speculation, because I heard a lot in these days, like, okay, it was a hack, it was a known, this attack was planned. Let's not get into that. Let's focus on, let's assume as of now, like, okay, if this was not an IT outage, if this was a real attack, now you tell me, the PCs that were used at the airport, or the computers that were used in the healthcare industry, all of these, I'm pretty sure you're in the IT domain. Were these external PCs or were these internal PCs? You can just type really quick. So all these systems that were connected, that got affected, everything went down. Internal PCs? Yes, absolutely, they were internal PCs. None of them were externals. No, I wouldn't say that. Let me take my word back. They were external, they were internal as well. But most of the PCs that got affected were internal. Because I hear this a lot from the people that I talk to about security, that, okay, we are only concerned about the external network. We know we will take care of the internal network. External network, just take care of that. We are good. No, that's not enough. Now you have seen that all these computers that got affected were internal computers. So how could a patch get into your internal network and bring everything down? If a patch had this tendency to get in, can you believe a ransomware attack Because even a ransomware attacks just needs one small code need to get inside your infrastructure. You can take any path, because we are in this industry. We know, I mean, we know how possible is it to bypass the best antivirus that you have. How possible is it to bypass the best firewall that you have? We know how is it, because we work in the same industry. So if someone is sitting there just to target, it's very easy and it's very possible to get into your infrastructure. So now, if you think about this, let's think for a while. Like, okay, if it was not an IT outage, it was a cybersecurity outage. Cybersecurity outage in the sense, if it was a ransomware attack, what kind of impact it would have? Okay, let's think about it. The scope would be huge, because in this, okay, in this IT outage, Windows systems are affected. Only the Windows systems that have CrowdStrike Falcon sensor on it got affected. Thing is very clear. In ransomware attack, you do not know what all got affected. You have to open each and every system of yours to understand how far the ransomware got affected. Second, the duration of the impact. Okay, now I know that, okay, the duration is 80 minutes for CrowdStrike to release a solution. And the solution very nicely conveyed by all the people of the IT industry on LinkedIn, on Twitter, everything, the resolution was everywhere. But can you imagine? This resolution is a single IT person goes onto the system, boots it into the safe mode, removes that file, boots it back into the working mode. So this, I would say, like 5 minutes per computer. Now you can imagine, if you have 50 computers, you're good. 2 days of job, you're tired at the end of the second day, you're good. 50 computers up and running. What about the organizations that have 500 computers? We deal with organizations that have 5,000 computers. Let's hope those 5,000 do not all of them have Windows in conjunction with CrowdStrike. For them, because I heard about, like, now I think it's the 6th day, and we still, I'm hearing that many organizations have still not gone up and running because of this outage. Can you imagine the loss of 6 days of organization not up and running just because of this outage? So the outage was huge. But what about the ransomware attack? Ransomware attack, you do not know the duration. You do not have a solution where to go. You're involving legal teams. You're involving, there is a ransomware involved in it, and you do not know the ransomware amount. So the duration is huge. Financial cost is huge. In an IT outage, I know, okay, the time is lost. The business that I'm doing in that time is lost. But the same thing, in addition to the ransomware, that's the financial cost of ransomware. And the recovery complexity, you do not know how long the negotiation would go with the person who actually put in the ransomware. You do not know. You do not know how much is the complexity. You are still very unsure that, let's say, if you have got the key from somewhere, that key will work or not. How much the key will decrypt your information. What all information is still encrypted. You do not know. So the complexity is high. And the reputational damage, IT outage, everyone knows, okay, it's very common. Everyone got affected with it. IT, it's still that people would doubt you that you did not have failover systems. People would still doubt you that you haven't created a backover mechanism, like, okay, business continuity is not very good with you. You haven't created incident response plans. People will still doubt you. But the reputational damage that is caused with ransomware is still very huge, because the issue will be of reliance. So now getting on to, I have very less time left and a quiz left as well. So what can we do? What can we do in order to avoid these kinds of cybersecurity attacks, ransomware attacks? Very quickly, I'll just rush through the things that we need to do. Continuous monitoring. There should be a monitoring in place. And I have heard this from our customers that no, continuous monitoring is very costly. We cannot go with it. See, cybersecurity has evolved with time. So it's not always that any solution that you go for is costly as well. You have open source tools, you have many solutions, we have many options available in the market, right? All the way from using free tools to costly tools. The reason would be that the free tools would be a little harder to use and the costly tools would be a little easier to use, but there are solutions everywhere. Continuous monitoring is not a costly affair anymore. Okay, the next thing. Okay, redundant systems. This is something that we really need to work upon. Like any critical systems, Active Directory server, or any very critical ones that your business relies on, have a redundant system as well. It's no harm. It's no harm in having a redundant system. Let's say this fails, it just switches over to another system, another operating system that has the same tendency, keeps your business working till you get this back up and running. So have failover systems. That's very much needed. I mean, these are the lessons that we can derive from this IT outage. Regular backups. And one thing, I actually merged these two things, regular backups and offsite storage together, is because I got a call from one of our customers. He said that, I see we have a ransomware attack. Okay, I said like, okay, let's see how much of it got affected. So he said like, okay, most of the systems got affected. I said like, what about your backup? Where is the backup? He said that the backup sits in the same organization. So we actually checked the backup and the backup was encrypted as well. So if you have backup in the same infrastructure, it's very likely that, see, ransomware attack does not happen like just one email is clicked and ransomware attack happens. That does not happen. That's a filmy scenario of ransomware attack. Ransomware attack is a very slow and a very gradual procedure that actually takes its time, and it happens very slowly, and it gets into it tries to become your domain admin. That's where the hacker wants. He wants to become your domain admin, and the moment it becomes your domain admin, he'll push the code to all the computers. So it's a very slow process. It takes months for hackers to see. Only one small issue that I can find in order to get into your internal infrastructure, I'll stay there for days till no one notices me, and I'll make my step so slowly that even the blue team that's sitting, the defense that's sitting, is not able to catch me. I mean, so it's a big procedure. What should be done? You need to have an offsite storage. You need to do regular backups as well. And then security audits should be there, regular security audits, so that the behavior is actually checked. The hackers, the ethical hackers, they come in, they test your environment, they test what all areas are open where someone could get in or someone has already gotten. These are the tests that you need to go through. And then third party, I'm talking about third party only for the reason is that, because see, the IT industry or the IT department is already engrossed in a lot of work of their own. So they cannot take out some dedicated time for security. Let's assume even if you have a cybersecurity team in place, that cybersecurity team has a pattern of work. The moment you bring a third party brings with their own perspective of taking things. So they will just come in for a day two or two, they'll check things and we'll let you know. So this is something like safeguarding and taking additional steps in order to safeguard yourself. Okay, and then the reason I'm coming on to compliance is because, see, any kind of compliance that you take, pick any compliance. Let's say ISO 27001, or pick a framework like CIS framework, or anyone, let's say COVID, whichever suits your industry. Pick anyone which is lighter in weight in the sense which is less costly, and then you can implement that. See, if you're going with any kind of framework, it actually gives you a complete holistic security. It asks you for your multi-factor authentication. It asks you about your email security. It asks you about the EDRs or the XDRs. It talks about the antivirus on your system. It talks about the vulnerabilities that are there as part of your organization. So it covers everything. Though you might not be interested in compliance, but it's always good to have a compliance, drive yourself to compliance. So at least let's say now you are on level 0. After 1 year, you will be on level 1 or 1.5. So with every year, you have advanced in terms of security. And at the end, if someone comes to you, any of your customer asks you like, okay, do you have any compliance? At least you will have compliance at the end of the day. Though you have not planned for it, but sticking on to any compliance will make you better. That's what compliance audits help. And any question and answers, because we have a few minutes before I jump to the quiz. Quiz would be pretty easy, so stay there, answer the quiz, get your gifts. Any questions, please type them here. I'll try to answer them. I'm waiting for your question. Okay. Regular backup of nodes are very costly, and most of the company do not have a position to spend the huge amounts. I completely agree with you. That's the reason I said only for the critical system, only for very critical systems. Let's say the number that the name that I can come up with is okay. Active Directory. Active Directory is one server that actually is the backbone of your organization. Have a critical, that's a critical unit. Have a redundancy for that. Have a backup solution for that. In that way, at least you will have one failover system. I mean, I'm talking about all the systems. At least one Active Directory. If you can afford more than that, go for very critical, because you can identify based on your business, because I do not know what business background you come from, what's important for you. Because see, security is needed. Let me just get on to the very basic of cybersecurity. Like you need security only if these three things or any of these three matters to you. One is confidentiality. Let me take an example of a bank. I do not want anyone to know how much amount do I hold in the bank. If it's less, my reputation is gone for a toss. If it's huge, I do not want people to chase me. So confidentiality is important. You do not want people to know who your customers are, what kind of information you have about those customers, what's the pricing, what's your pricing with the vendors. That's confidentiality. Second thing is integrity, CIA. If you need CIA, you need security. Integrity is very important. You do not want things to change. You want things to be the way you want. So let's say if you have certain amount in the bank, you do not want those numbers to change. You want those numbers to stay the way they are. Availability is more for OT systems. Like you want systems to be running 24/7. You do not want them to stop. Like in this case, in this cybersecurity, in this Crowdstrike outage, the availability was on a toss. Confidentiality wasn't an issue. Integrity wasn't an issue. Integrity was an issue in some cases, but availability was gone for a toss. Availability was a huge issue. So, okay, let's go to another question before I jump up. Like just 1 minute. Okay. Yes, you do not need credentials. I mean, it's a very what do you say? The question is like how the hackers get to access the domain admin. See, it's a long process, because you should know one thing. I mean, just give one small basic is that any password that you put in, it gets stored somewhere, whether it's encrypted, whether it's salted, it's stored somewhere. If the hacker knows where to go and finds out what the hash for it, because see, that's how the brute force comes into the picture. There is one activity called brute force where you match millions of passwords with the password, and you see the hash. If the hash is matching, you use the same password. So it's a pretty tedious process. We can discuss that. And another thing is, okay, I'll have to get onto the quiz because we have just a few minutes left. Okay, so okay, this is my WhatsApp number. I'm very much available on WhatsApp. Any of your questions, please take down this number. because I'll get on to the quiz now. So the moment we get on quiz, possibly this screen might not be there. So please write it down somewhere, take a picture. This is my number. You can WhatsApp me on this number. It's because I would be able to answer you right away. Any questions, any concerns. It's very quick because I'm talking about WhatsApp is because that's pretty quick mode of communication now. So let me open the quiz real quick and let's wait. Okay, I have. Okay. Now let's wait for the participants to join in. Okay. Please join in. Yes, I see participant coming in. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's wait for a minute more so that at least I see a lot of participants because okay, they're joining in. Okay, participants are still joining in, so let's wait for a minute more. I would request, I have taken this time from you till for 45 minutes, so possibly 2-3 more minutes from you. Please bear with me. 2-3 more minutes, and we should be done. I'm just waiting for these all the participants. I want as much as participants to come in and join this quiz. It's a very easy one. It's everything that we have discussed in this short and quick webinar. Okay. Okay, so okay, some of them have said that okay, they missed it. So this is the QR code. So scan this and then you can join in. The QR code is on the screen. The link is on the screen because some have just texted me saying that okay, they missed. They said it later and they missed it. So you can scan the QR code and join in. So okay. Okay, so I'll wait for like another 30 seconds before I start the quiz, start the first question. Right. Okay. Okay, let me start then. Okay. If not, then please type in the chat window because I want to respect everyone's time. So let's start. This is our first question. Okay. Okay. I can see answers coming in, answers flowing in. A few more seconds left. Okay. 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 Let me just quickly say that, okay, it got affected, but the CrowdStrike patch, Windows got affected the most. I mean, that's where the others got in turn affected, but Windows was the one that was the main culprit. So the next question. Okay. Okay, it was airports that got affected the most. And the next question. So this one has multiple answers. It's not just one answer. It is multiple answers. So make sure you click on multiple answers. Okay, time is over. The answer is 1, 2, and 3. Windows is not cheaper at all. The Linux is the cheapest one. Windows The buying capital cost is there. You have to have license renewals. Windows is not cheaper at all. In the sequence, Mac OS is the costliest, then Windows, then Linux. Okay, and then this one. Now the next question. Okay, a few seconds left. Okay, so this is the ransomware attack causes the most very huge losses. I discussed like how. So ransomware is really dangerous. IT outage is nowhere closer. It's 6 times more. Ransomware attacks are 6 times more gruesome than IT outages. Next question. This is the last one. It's just one. It's just one answer in this. It's not multiple answers. It's just one answer. Okay, it's done. So the answer is window website performance optimization. This does not help. This best practice does not help in a ransomware attack. So now let's reveal the leaderboard. So we have Sayed Ahmad, we have Naushad, we have Mohammad Gota, Mohammad Samiuddin, Abdul Azim. So we have a list here. So we will choose the top 5 and see, and then you will get the gifts. We will reach out to you pretty soon. So there's just 1 minute left. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much for giving your time. I'm obliged. I really appreciate your time. And for your questions, I gave you my number. My number is still there on the screen. Possibly will be there for another 1 minute or 30 seconds, and then I'll close this webinar. Thank you very much again for joining us, for everything. So we will talk to you soon. Reach out to me on WhatsApp, and we will take it from there, inshallah. Thank you again very much. Take care.